Friends, over the years, you and I have transformed the slicing and dicing of numbers into an art. So today, let's do something a bit different. Let's go to, say, Brussels, and ask them per capita which European country purchases the most convertibles every year. Would the answer be A, Spain, B, Italy, or C, the country, depending on who you ask and the city that you look at, gets up to 145 days of rain a year? Well, in honor of the most unlikely answer, let's you and I drive the latest and most British of British convertibles. So I feel like you and I are back with this whole deja vu thing again, although the background has changed because the last time we did this was in Savannah, Georgia, when we talked about the Clubman. And here, okay, so the car is shorter and we've lopped off the roof, but the engines are the same. So we start out with a three-cylinder, 1.5 liter engine. That's basically halved of the BMW 6. And in that version, it's 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, which comes in at a stupidly low 1,250 RPM. Very unusual, especially when you consider 3 cylinders. But today I decided to go with the big horsepower model, the muscle car version of the Mini convertible, and that is the Cooper S. So this one has a whole 4 cylinders, puts out 189 horsepower, but put that all aside because what's interesting here is 207 pound-feet of torque, which also comes in at 1,250 RPM, but it stays flat all the way to 4,000 RPM. Now, well, how do they really do that? And that's really a function of this twin power turbo business. Now, we talked about this in the 7 Series episode, but that was a V8, so it really actually had 2 turbos. This only has 1 turbo, so why are they calling it a twin power turbo? Well, twin power turbo basically is a suite of technologies in there. So there is direct injection, turbocharging, variable valve timing, but there's also the way in which the intake plenum gets the air into the engine. That is one of the big pieces on how they can develop 207 pound-feet of torque at 1,250 RPM. Now that's all fine and good, but how does that translate to out here on the road? This is not going to be a G-rated show today. I am forewarning you people right now. Because we have the lovely, well, sometimes not so lovely from what I'm finding out today, Emme Hall is here.
Hey everyone, it's Emme Hall from Roadshow. Happy to be here.
Wait a minute, Roadshow? I thought it was TFL Car.
Yeah, I moved on to Roadshow. We are the automobile arm of CNET.
I can't keep up with you anymore.
Bang, 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 baby.
Like 3 seconds ago, you lived in D.C. and you worked for someone in D.C. Then you decided to work for Roman in Colorado, and now you're in the California Republic.
Thank God, it's so nice to be home.
So you're like my neighbor now.
Yeah, well, sort of. Only about 6 hours away.
Okay. And you're living in the O-Town.
Yep.
Good deal.
LA face with the Oakland boot tag.
Now, what exactly for the audience is an O-Town boot?
It's just a nice looking butt, you know?
Is it a butt that goes pow?
It is a butt that goes pow!
Because that's what I would think from O-Town. It's a butt that goes pow.
Yeah.
Pulling power!
I know! So I'm super stoked that they just gave us the S versions of these. You know, the regular Coopers are fine, but this 207 pound-feet of torque that kicks in super, super low.
1,250 RPM.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So here, let's push around this turn here. We've been through a lot of declining radius turns here today. I am amazed, really, how much pulling power this car has, and especially when you consider the weight. Let's talk about an O-Town booty.
Yeah, I cannot believe how, for how small this car is, it is a it's a fat bottom girl. It makes the rockin' world go round.
Huge Queen fan, by the way. Huge. And can I have just a moment of silence for the passing of Mr. Bowie?
I know.
Moment of silence, especially if we're in a British, sort of British car. Okay, so, 1.
Okay, that was a good moment.
Okay, that was a good moment.
For us, being quiet for that long was a pretty good thing.
Well, it's important because he did so much in this world. He gave so much to this world in terms of pushing the edge of music, pushing the edge of artistry. I would say even pushing the edge of theater, because if you went to one of his concerts, it was amazing.
Totally. He was all about theater and character. It was great. But back to the Mini.
I think we're going off with too many British icons. So, okay, we got a little bit of a straight here. I'm going to slow down.
All right.
Let's come to a stop. We're going to come to a stop.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in manual mode, and let's try this pulling power thing.
Okay, ready?
Foot to the floor. Not that we're timing this, but does this feel quick to you?
Honestly, not really.
No?
quick to you?
Doesn't feel quick. Let me put it to my audience. I don't know if you're aware of this. 95% dudes.
Yeah, well, it's a car channel, so
Okay.
yeah.
So the question is, if a dude picked you up, took you out on a date, and did that, would you be interested in this car?
I would be more interested if he throws it through the turns rather than, because this car to me, it's not so much about straight line speed, right? Because it is a little underpowered. I mean, yeah, we're in the S and it's 189 horsepower. So it is a little
207 pound-feet of torque.
Right. It is. But for me, it's all about the emotion that you feel when you're getting in the turns and when you're like one with the car, like right now.
So there actually is some pulling power in the turns right now?
Yeah, it's certainly like it accelerates really nicely out of the turn, but this is not a car for straight line acceleration. You're going to lose in a drag race easily.
But I don't think Minis have ever been about straight line performance.
No. That's easy. Straight line performance is easy, right? Easy.
Well, ask any owner of a Hellcat. So way back in the golden days of 2015, we talked about driving dynamics in Minis with that Clubman. And basically, when you are Mini, and you have the history that's Mini, especially when you're owned by Freude am Fahren, the ultimate driving machine, your car's gotta kind of drive ultimate. And that's why there are things like multi-link rear suspensions we've talked about in previous episodes, and front struts here that are different with adjustable dampers in this specific case. But really, when you lop the roof off the car, what happens? Well, you lose structure, you lose strength. So there's a couple of things that the folks in Munich did to change this car. Number one, torsional struts here. Number two, there's increased side sills here. And number three, and I think this is the most interesting, there is a stiffening plate underneath the engine, and that's kind of a new one for me. I've never seen one in the conversion from hardtop to convertible. Perhaps it has something to do with increasing the strength of the subframe, because after all, this is a front-wheel drive car. But really, let's put all that together and let's think about this. This ain't a lightweight here. It is about 250 pounds lighter than the previous convertible, but still not a lightweight. So how does all of that, now knowing the weight, translate out into the canyon roads, especially with Emme driving? Santa Maria, Madre de Dios.
Okay, so I'm on manual shift mode, and it's only like kind of half manual because it will shift for you when it thinks you're getting too high up into the rev lines. And I have to tell you, that is one of my pet peeves about these manumatics, is that it pretends like it's going to give you a little bit of control, but in the end, it just rests it right from you, right at the best point.
Okay, what I'd like to point out is she's been talking to the car all day. Every time it's done that, it's, I didn't ask you to do that. You need to stop doing that. While I'm sitting here, like, completely ignores there's somebody else in the car, who she's about to kill, by the way. So driving dynamics, oh, by the way, declining radius.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
I've been doing this a lot.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
today.
by the way, you might die in this turn.
Yeah. No, I give you more of a technical discussion, like declining radius, little off camber there, and oh, by the way, a pickup truck.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so driving dynamics.
Well, you know what, the first thing I noticed about in this car is torque, steer, all night and day.
Which translates to a little plowing up front.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of this thing.
For sure.
But I will say, I am kind of surprised how composed this short of wheelbase is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. There was a section.
Major declining radius. Talk about plowing. Don't kill us!
Sorry.
Santa Maria, Madre de Dios. I'm not coming out of this alive.
Oh, my Lord.
Please let me live till tomorrow, because I want to drive the M2. I love this little, like, dial thing they got down here.
Oh, that's cool.
So right now, basically, this car is fitted with everything. So it's got the adjustable dampers.
Right.
But notice when you push into, like, especially these declining radius with the off camber, that one situation you just described, the roll is more on the side, not in the rear. Like I've noticed in other cars that have this kind of weight, you do get a little bit of roll onto itself, but in the rear. Here is only on the side, which I can't say I've experienced before.
Well, maybe it has some
declining radius, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Maybe it has something to do with the stiffening plate that's under the engine, which when I heard,
very cool. By the way.
And when I heard about that, I'm like, okay, so is that just like essentially acting as a sway bar in the front?
So here's the question, and we kind of discussed this a little bit off camera, but A, is it a sway bar? B, how many people do you think are going to steal them from this car and put it in regular coupes?
I'm picturing if we would get this up on the lift, it would be like a quarter-inch going
It would have to
from
be
one side of the subframe to the other.
a plate that probably it sandwiches the subframe.
Yeah.
So it actually stiffens up the subframe on the basically the lateral movements of the subframe.
Nice off camber.
Look at this. Look at this.
They go, what you got?
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster ride.
That was fun.
That's the thing about minis. Put aside all this technical crap we're going on and on about off camber and adjustable dampers and body roll.
They're really fun.
They're just fun to drive.
Yeah.
But the question,
And also very easy to drive. Like it's easy to drive this car up close to the limit, you know? Whoa!
didn't give you the heads up on that
You
one.
did not!
You got another one coming up here as we get to the ocean. Couple of surprises here in Moto Canyon. So I've taken Emme to my secret spot in all of our shows. This is where we've had like that 911 Turbo S that we drove, the Ferrari, all that stuff has been on these same roads. Major declining radius.
Yeah.
And notice some elevation change in the pavement. Did you
Yeah.
feel any disturbance in the plane of motion of the car?
No, I can certainly feel the rough of the pavement coming through the chassis, but it doesn't upset the car. Not those tiny little things at any rate.
Well, a little feedback from this side.
Yeah?
You didn't make me sick doing that.
Oh, good. Because I get a little sick when you're driving.
Oh, come now.
No, but that's just me. I can't. It's hard.
That's because you're probably you're probably very ambitious.
Probably overly independent.
So on our first ever 360-degree video, virtual reality people, where we featured the Chevrolet Volt, I complained directly to the guy from General Motors who was sitting right here that car does not have a Schiebedach, sunroof auf Deutsch. But here we are with a real convertible, and this has a sunroof. And if you kind of go back to like the original BMW Mini convertible, I was always intrigued by what they did with the convertible here, because they gave you this 3-position opportunity where instead of it just being up and down, you actually have like a sunroof kind of target thing here. But actually thinking about going back to like original Mini convertibles, like go back to the Gen 1 car, I found out they made 1,080 of those cars. So if you kind of the grand scheme of the classic car world, that's less than CTSV wagons, which you and I go on and on about in terms of future collectibles. So maybe there's a classic tip there for you. Anyway, I digress. Riddle me this. When you lop the roof off of a car, what does it affect besides driving dynamics? Storage. So here is our gear. Here are one of the bags we have for our gear, about 50 pounds. This could be a problem getting into an opening like this. So the folks in Munich decided to give you 2 easy load handles. One here picks up the back of the roof, so you can take your storage item and get it easily into the back or trunk, boot, whatever the hell you want to call it, without scuffing your sill plate here. And notice while we're here, you get your own little safety vest. I would say wunderbar for this. Then while you actually lock this thing back down here, let's say for the sake of discussion, you're out with your best girl, maybe a woman who's ambitious, someone very independent, and she says she wants to go on a picnic. Well, you can use this as your picnic table, provided both of you are lighter than 176 pounds. I have a bone to pick with you, Emme.
What's up?
You don't know your ass from your elbow on colors.
What are you talking about?
This is too light on the inside. This would never, you can't live with this color on the inside.
No way. I like it. I love contrasty stuff, right?
No,
So I love
I'm with you on contrast. With you on that.
Yeah?
This is just too light. This, like, with our jeans, we're gonna hand the car, especially with you because of the way you sweat, we're gonna hand the car back dirty. One day.
I love this color, and I love how it juxtaposes with the blue.
How did that go again?
With our blue, because it's like I have the sky right here with me.
Okay, I'm with you on the contrast. Blue is my favorite color, so that's why we picked this color. But I would want more of a saddle on the inside. Not dark.
I see where you're going.
Something that I think would last over time. And I do like, what do you think of the wood?
It seems a little out of place in this kind of car. To me, like any kind of a wood grain finish, it denotes an aura of a little bit more upscale luxury, and I don't really see that in the Mini.
See, now
I
think Mini, when you're buying a Mini, you're buying these things for style, which to me says you're putting a little A, theater,
right,
B, pageantry, and C, a little bit of luxury. Like, you're not going to get that in I'll make it up, a Toyota. You're not going to get that
Yeah.
in any other car that competes in this, like the Audi, for example. The Audi A3, the dashboard doesn't have those kind of details. It's kind of boring. Where this, you get the wood and you get this.
Yeah, but what I don't like about it is that I have this like luxury piece right here in on top of the glove box, and then right above it, I have a dash that just to me looks kind of cheap, and like a plastic glove box that looks kind of cheap.
Yeah,
so
kind of with you on that.
Yeah, so like I have these two contrasting. And normally I like contrasting things, but contrasting the luxurious with the inexpensive right next to each other is a little. I don't know. I'm not
Speaking
sure
of I think we're like the contrasting twins today. Speaking of contrast, did you see the piping? It's denim.
Yeah, I know. I like the piping.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you know where we are?
That was that one.
Do you know where we're going?
Yep.
Because we have the road book. We haven't even looked at the road book all day.
Oh, I think we should get the road book out. Maybe you should read the road book today.
Let me see. So they give us all these directions, right? So when we left the hotel, which I don't know if we did this, but exit to the right on Normandy Avenue, but then it says it in German.
Oh, what's Spreche Deutsch?
Rechts ausfahren auf Normandy Avenue.
Okay, so right,
too bad.
and we're going to go on to Normandy Avenue. Okay, that's somewhat understandable.
All right. Caution, prepare to stop. Achtung!
Okay, warning.
Überschützliche Kreuzunge voraus.
So basically you're saying that you poop in the Uber driver's car.
So you're talking a lot about like theatricality and pageantry in the interior.
Yeah.
I love how it's still modeled after like an F1 cockpit. Like I love how I've got all these switches. Yeah, the toggle switches and everything. It's like it's such a stupid little detail, and I love it. Yeah, I do.
That's the part of the Mini that actually would get me to buy one.
Really?
I love toggle switches. Like one of my favorite interiors is the old school, the original Series 1E type.
Yeah.
Oh, just a little behind the scenes. The person that handed over the car to us today and gave us the walk around was Chris, who is the head designer of Mini.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You got a kick out of you.
Everybody does.
Oh, Jesus, you're able to fit your head in the car with the top down. So I'm confused about something.
What are you confused about?
During the presentation, they talked about this thing, and I don't get it. It's the open air something.
Oh, yeah. So it's like a timer that keeps track of how long you've kept the convertible top down. I think it's called
a timer for that.
It's just to show you that like, hey, look at how much fun you've been having in your Mini.
Or to try to avoid getting skin cancer.
You know, don't bring seriousness into it. Having a convertible, the whole point of having a convertible is having the top open
I agree.
as much as possible.
So why do I want a timer that's going to tell me that?
I don't know. Just because it's a fun little thing. But Chris, the designer, was telling us that there is an app that will sync to the like weather around town.
Yeah.
And so that way, if you've parked your car and let's say you've left the top down, the app will let you know like, hey, it's gonna rain. You need to go put the top up on your car.
See, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That is
apparently
useful technology.
you cannot do it remotely because he's like, there's other people around. Like we don't know. There could be like some little kid climbing in your car. Like, dude, if there was a little kid in my car, all hell would break loose. So you can't actually do it remotely, but at least it gives you a heads up, like, hey, it might rain, you should go put the top up on your car.
Maybe you should get one of those, like, those doorbells now that they sell, where it's a camera that you access from your cell phone.
Yeah.
So maybe you put that in your car, and this way if you see some bratty kid, you start, like, yelling at them. You scare them away from your car.
Is there a speaker on it, too?
Well, with the doorbell thing, it does have a speaker.
That'd be rad.
And you could yell at them, and then you could remotely put the top up.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's our $1 million idea right there.
So we improved the Minis. So in summary, what do we got? Well, in one word, style. In a recent episode from Cayo Hueso, Florida, we talked about how competitive this segment is, and I actually didn't think it was going into that episode, but then after looking at some of the comments, I asked you guys to kind of pick what are different convertibles that would compete with that Buick Cascada, and now here we have a Mini convertible. But this presents a bit of a different equation. Yes, it's a Mini, so you have very strong driving dynamics as we found out today. Granted, there is a weight penalty here, which kind of clips the driving dynamics just a bit, but you still have the power that comes out of this car, which actually is very close to what that Buick is and other cars in the segment. But this, and this is really the thing about Minis, it's more about the style. It's more about some of the design bits that go in this car, like the tartan rubber mats that go in the cup holders, or the Union Jack that they put on the steering wheel, or you can actually get the entire roof as a Union Jack, and that's the whole Mini Yord thing. So really, yes, this does compete with like the Audi or even the BMW, you know, their own cousin, but this has more individual bits, and I almost feel like, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this, I almost feel like it's against the law to kind of walk into a Mini dealer and say, you know what, I want that one, because the reality is you should go in there and say, I want to build my own Mini. So with that, I'm going to turn this whole thing around to you and leave you with a question. And the question is this, and it's kind of two-part. Number one, what do you think this car competes with? Remember, this is more about style. What do you think it competes with? Does it compete with BMW's car, basically its own cousin? Or does it compete with that Buick Cascada, the Audi? Or even does it compete with muscle cars like the Mustang and the Camaro? Because on a money way, like dollars point of view, they're like direct competitors, but form factor, design, even the execution of the driving system here, well, the reality is it's a totally different car. So let me know not only what does it compete with, but why do you think it competes with those cars? And you know what, for good measure, let me know what region of the world you live in and what car you currently drive. Let me know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all one word, MotoManTV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you with two things. Number one, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which you can download for free from Apple iTunes and Google Play. And number two, make sure you check out our first ever 360-degree video, virtual reality, people. You can check it out here on the channel or on that fancy mobile app. And there may be a second one coming that is somewhat related to this car. Not this car, but somewhat related to this car. I don't know when you're seeing this, so it could be before or after, but there could be a second one. Anyway, bis später.